Hello again. Now, let's talk the future of drone technology. Drones are quickly becoming new technique in responding to disaster. For example, you'll remember in July, the Joburg Emergency Services personnel using this technology to search for the remains of Khayaletu Magadla. The 7-year-old had slipped into an open manhole in Dlamini in Soweto. Now, the South Africa Flying Labs, in collaboration with QP Drone Tech, is equipping women from disadvantaged communities with drone flying skills, especially around managing disasters. To tell us more about this, I have in the studio with you Queen Ndlovu. She's the CEO of QP Drone Tech. She is the Queen Drone of that company. Welcome, Queen. Thank you very much for your time. Yesterday, I understand you were in Alexandra on the ground doing a very specialized and specialist kind of a training session, upskilling a group of young women from Alexandra here, just around the corner from Sentin, around this issue. Why doing it there, and what's the purpose?
Yes, as you rightfully mentioned, that I'm the MD for South Africa Flying Labs, which is a tech for good company. It's a social impact. So we are very intentional. How do we go to local communities that are compromised, are very vulnerable? We go there and close the gaps so that we create the jobs of the future, amongst others. So since this month is Women's Month, as QP Drone Tech and South Africa Flying Lab, we are very intentional that we want to partner with Alexander community, the young ladies there, whereby instead of having a beautiful event where they have nice food and all of that, we actually empower the skills, you know, because disaster does affect them. So
why the skills in particular?
Yes. Alexander is very prone to disaster, you know, because of that Jexi River, you know. So we thought that it would make sense if we bring skills that they can relate to, but also asking them that take ownership and be accountable of all the pains that you have in your community. And you've got this technology that can be easily be deployed, that is accessible to measure that kind of crisis.
So you've mentioned the words empowering, you mentioned the word giving them the skills.
Yes.
And this new skill, how can it help these young women of Alexander, for example? If you can be practical just for a short while.
Yes. What is important is that, for instance, moving forward, we're going to be training them as drone pilot to become specialists when disaster occurs. But I need to mention that we are not focusing on the situation whereby they become the response to disaster, but we focus on how to mitigate the risk. So the training is based around that. For instance, one of the findings yesterday is that we realized that there are about, after flying the drones, there are about 250 families that are on the banks of the river, you know. So when January, February come, you know, the chances of these 250 families being subject to submerged in the water is high, and it's not good. So it's a high risk assessment. So it's a 2-day course. The first one was theoretical training with the help of our partner DMS, and the second day was the practical, where we're incorporating drones with them.
Who else is partnering you with this? Who else are your partners?
Yes, my partners, of course, I'll start with UNICEF, and Santam has recently joined us in this initiative, Tech for Good. But also I've got another service provider that is responsible because they've got an accredited training, which is called DMS. They do the theoretical part on risk disaster management, and we come with the drone element. I'm
asking you about partnerships because one thing we've learned, and one thing that coronavirus pandemic has taught the world, is you can't do anything by yourself.
Yes.
You might have the knowledge and the skill. You have to have a universe of stakeholders, similar-minded or like-minded people.
Collaboration is the new innovation pattern.
Yes, you can't do without it. Yes. I always tell my team that we are always one team. We work together. We need to collaborate. So where can these skills help them? You mentioned drone pilot. So could some of these young women, as time goes on, because this is not the first time you've been in Alex, and I would gather it will not be the last time.
No, it's not.
Yes, this is a month of women in South Africa, Women's Month, ending next week. So could they get employment, for example?
Yes, absolutely. That's the whole intention. You know, when we say we talk transformation, we mean it. So the whole idea, hence we requested a partnership from UNICEF so that this intervention becomes sustainable. So most of them qualify, but what we have been preaching yesterday, that not all of them can become drone pilot. Others they need to analyze the data that we get through the drones. So they need to become analysts analyzing the data. Others, they need to repair the drones in case they crash.
And what's the appetite like? What's that when you're engaging with these young women?
They were so excited. They were so excited, and they were happy that we actually went back after the first intervention, and they saw that the partners were there, to support them so that you come with another sustainable intervention within the drone space. And they were aware that now we are actually training them to become champions as far as disaster management is concerned. So they become responsible instead of relying on government to come with such interventions.
And they'll have to be collaboration with the local disaster authorities.
Yes, they were there actually. Thanks God that we had the City of Johannesburg been there. We had Alexander Business Chamber that was there. So it was a lot of stakeholders and even ward committee members.
Yeah. So how are we doing in South Africa? Let me make a general question. Let me ask you a general question now.
Yeah.
We were focusing on Alex. Yesterday you had this, and it's a second intervention, and you're going to sustain it going forward.
Yes.
So, but generally in South Africa, how are we doing with skills like this kind of skills? I mean, drone technology skills. You've got your own QP Drone Tech CEO, plus you've got this flying skills, the CSI element. But how is South Africa doing when it comes to this kind of skills?
I must mention that South Africa was one of the slow adopters as far as drone technology is concerned, but now we're seeing some improvement, and there are a lot of opportunities. Other companies that are joining and other stakeholders, they choose the space of being tech for good, coming with strategies like we're doing, how they close the digital gap. But now we've got other commercial companies that are coming. So the whole intention is to go to unemployed youth and expose them to these drone technology skills.
So are you going to be focusing on women the most, or is the Alex intervention now, because it was August Women's Month, or does your program also cover guys?
No, it depends. It depends on the intervention. Because it's Women's Month, I was focusing on the women, but obviously we've got clients like QP Drone Techs work with mines, and other clients we focus on it's not about the gender anymore. It's about the business transition.
What's next now? What's next for you? What are you working on next? I understand you're planning a conference in October.
Yes.
What will that be about?
Yes. We are planning a conference on disaster management. So other than that, the project we did with Alex is one of the build-up event for the conference we are building, we will be hosting. It's called Incorporating Drones into Disaster Management Response, drone and other robotics, And why the conference brought in? We are saying here we need to promote international multi-stakeholders dialogue as far as drone technology is used. But also as a company, we've decided to become to employ the thought leadership strategies, that how do we use this beautiful technology that is there, is accessible, and is cheaper than employing helicopters, for emergency response. But also we are realizing that communities and authorities, they are found unwanting. When disaster happens, no one is prepared for it. So the conference aims to address that how do you come together and plan for this? Because
and where will the October conference be?
It's going to take place in Children's City Conference Center.
It's a physical presence,
it's
of course.
It's very, very physical. It will allow some of the speakers, about 10 of them, because they are international based, to access, but it's physical. It's a physical-based conference.
Do you think our education system should start embracing? You said we're late adopters of such a technology.
Yes.
But from a technology perspective, you being in the front line of this kind of technology, do you think our curriculum, our education system from our children, they should be learning this kind of skills from school days?
I think so. I was privileged that I was in China for 6 months, and those are some of the best practices that I learned there, that they start these technological skills while the kids are very young, all the corporates have an academy for younger people, for unemployed, to come and use the technologies. So, but we are getting there as a country, like basic education has launched that will going to employ technology for grade 11 and 12. So we're getting there.
There's a start there. So thank you very much, Queen Ndlovu. She's the CEO of QP Drone Tech. If you want to know more about the programs and that conference that's coming up in October, I'm sure you can go to their website. You could find them on QP Drone Tech. You'll find all the details. They call her the Drone Queen, or the Queen of Drones. Thank you very much for your time and all the best. And well done for the good work that you are doing for the disadvantaged, unemployed young women of Alexandra in terms of using drone technology in managing disasters preemptively and also during a disaster. Now you're